WFRV TV Local 5, your local election headquarters. This is Newsmaker Sunday with your host, Tom Zaleski.
Good morning. Welcome to Newsmaker Sunday. I'm Tom Zaleski. Today we have the pleasure of being joined by Congressman Glenn Grothman. Congressman, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
It's my pleasure to be interviewed by Tom Zaleski.
Which means I've been around for too long. Congressman, as you well know, the big topic of this past week or two has been the declaration of the national emergency and President Trump's desire for a border wall. What is your take on that?
Well, we need a border wall. You know, I was kind of a passive advocate for the border wall until about a month ago. And then I went down to Arizona to see the border, see parts of the wall that were built by President Bush or President Obama, saw where the wall stops, talked to the Border Patrol down there. I've talked to the head of the Border Patrol under Barack Obama, who was fired by Donald Trump. And now I've become a passionate advocate for the border wall. We need that wall if we're going to continue to exist as a country. I mean, right now where they have a wall, it works. President Clinton built a great wall between Tijuana and San Diego. We've really cut off all immigration in that area. Other places where there is a wall, people don't get through, but they walk around to the areas where there is no wall. And so your listeners are aware, the cartels in Mexico are on both sides of that wall. They have spotters to see whether the Border Patrol is there or the Border Patrol is not there, and then they run people across the border. Our people believe that even the Mexican military is helping the drug cartels get drugs across the border. If they see a Mexican military vehicle, within a half hour you're going to see some drug shipment come across. So in many, many ways we need that wall. We have no idea how many people are in this country illegally. Could be 12 million, could be 20 million. We don't know. We are not anti-immigrant. You know, your listeners have to know every year in this country, we can be proud to swear in 700,000 new citizens. We have 4 million work visas out there. So it's not like you can't get in this country. You know, all you got to do is wait in line. All we're doing is telling the people who are trying to sneak across the borders, almost always with the help of the cartels, no, you've got to do things legally. And to save our country, to make sure we're getting the best people coming here, we need that wall.
So 2 and 3 and 4 presidents have had a hand in at least part of a wall. So what's the holdup now? Why has it somewhat stopped?
Well, I hate to blame partisanship for things, because really we do get along on a personal level with the Democrats. But part of it is the Democrat Party, the Democrats that had no problem voting for a wall under President Clinton, had no problem voting for a wall under President Bush, did not complain about walls being immoral when Barack Obama was spending more money on a wall. The Democrat Party is becoming more radical. You know, the Democrat Party, when I first got involved in politics, your listeners remember names like John Reba or Boley over there, Larry Sabota, these type of people. There are not many Democrats like that in Congress anymore. They've become very radicalized, very much want an open border. And secondly, sadly, it is politics. They don't want to give Donald Trump a victory. You didn't hear the Democrats call the wall immoral when Barack Obama was adding to the wall or improving the wall. They certainly didn't call walls immoral when the United States was helping build a wall between Jordan and Syria to protect the Jordanians, but all of a sudden they're saying a wall is moral. So part of it's politics, and part of it is the radicalization of the Democrat Party, which is a sad thing to see, and doesn't apply to all Democrats. You know, there were Democrats who were willing to vote for the wall, but I think the vast majority of Democrats today, they weren't going to vote for a wall. They don't want to vote to sanction sanctuary cities where illegals can go and make sure they aren't questioned on their immigration status, that sort of thing. It's a sad thing to see the Democrat Party become radicalized. As you know, I was a Democrat when I was in college, so it's a sad thing to see what's becoming that party.
Now, you know that there have been and there will continue to be several challenges in court to this wall and to this national emergency. So where do you see it going? How long could this take?
Well, you know, when you get to the court system, it could take years. And I hope President Trump does a better job of educating the public. I mean, I voted for President Trump, you know. He's got great cabinet secretaries, doing a good job. But he really didn't do a good job of selling the wall. And I hope he sells the wall the degree to which we can put it in the budget for the calendar year beginning September 1st. Otherwise, You get to the court system, it could be years. And I hate to have a situation in which we continue to have the wrong people come in this country for years while the courts diddle around.
So where has the president fallen short in selling? Where did the sell job fall?
I don't think he did a good job of explaining. I mean, $5.7 billion is a lot of money. And I think we really needed about $8 billion to build the wall adequately. But $5.7 billion is about 1/7 of what we spend every year on foreign aid. I don't think the public realized in the standards of the federal budget that $5.7 billion is 1/7 of what we spend every year on foreign aid. I don't think President Trump did a good job of explaining how many other people come here legally. You know, President Trump allowed himself to be painted as anti-immigrant, right? To let 4 million people in here on work visas is not anti-immigrant. And President Trump even said he was willing to increase that number further. He just wanted to make sure we vet who comes in here. And I think if President Trump would have made those cases, would have pointed out how effective walls are in other countries, the huge problem Israel had until they built a wall between Egypt and Israel and prevented so many more Africans from coming in there, I think then the public would have gotten behind him. But he gave 3 speeches, and I don't think on the topic before, you know, actually 4 speeches before we finally signed that bill that I voted against, and he never really made those points in those speeches. And had he made those points, I think he would have his wall.
We will continue with Congressman Glenn Grothman right after this, so please stay with us.